Hi, I'm Ron Goins. I'm from Philadelphia. I am 64 years old, and I've been in Waco for 21 years, following what I consider one of the great mysteries in history, the siege and tragedy at Mount Carmel Center, the home of Branch Davidians. I came down by invitation in 1998. Clive and a friend of mine had passed through Philadelphia the year before, having a videotape which became famous as Waco Rules of Engagement, which is still available and I recommend you to watch. It showed how the government laid siege upon these people and ultimately killed them through ignorance and arrogance and the government negligence and disrespect for these people's rights. I had been a little bit radical in my youth, neither left nor right, just looking for, the government to do the right thing towards people. And that started in my high school years when Philadelphia schools had various number of strikes over my school years. So I sympathized with the teachers and such. A little further into my life, the MOVE incident happened in Philadelphia. In 1985, a group of so-called black radicals had a homeschool movement and educated their children as to the true history they felt of black slavery in America and wanted a movement of black people back to Africa. The homeschooling really ticked a lot of people in Philadelphia off, and the city government came down upon them, laid siege to their house, and ultimately, after about 10 days, set a fire on the roof of their house, which wound up burning down their house and 61 other homes in the neighborhood, which was pretty much a national news story. I actually lived about 8 blocks away from where that incident happened, so I was a little bit radicalized by that. 8 years later, what happened on my TV was just watching what was happening in Waco, and of course I was stunned and offended. I had enlisted as an Army reservist and spent 6 years in the reserves in the 80s, so I have a streak of patriotism. But I don't want to see a good government go bad. I don't want to see us slip into tyranny. And that's what I figured was going on in Waco. It took about 5 years and the invitation of Clive Doyle to come down here in 1988. And ever since I've been poking around. I've lived on Mount Carmel property as a caretaker and landscaper. I've worked with both Clive and even Charles Pace on the fields on Mount Carmel. I've given tours and I've lectured people on what I feel the main salient points of the story are, and how this is a story that's not over yet. How people have to come to understand themselves from both sides of the picture, how people were silent when this happened, or complacent, allowing the government to do their job, and seeing these innocent people just bullied and coerced and eventually, killed and bulldozed into the wreckage of the building that they lived in, totally destroying, any evidence that they even existed. It tore me apart then. It still tears me apart to think back on it. Many of the people I talk to these days are a lot younger than me, and don't remember anything except maybe, you know, some vague, you know, blips on the TV or what their parents told them. So this is all new, and this is a slice of life that they hopefully will only have to read about or see, you know, tapes, and won't have to live through. You know, as I'm afraid, you know, our not acknowledging this situation will cause it to repeat itself. I live with Clive Doyle, and I am friends with many other surviving branches. And there is a nice small support network out in the country that allows us to survive and thrive and teach the pertinent lessons of Waco. Thank you much.